Hello, I'm Amber and this is the Coconut Radio, brought to you in part by the Center for African Entrepreneurship and CLV TV. On this show we'll be mainly ranting and raving, talking about stuff that bothers me, but also talking about issues that affect the Black and ethnic minority community and women. Please like and share these videos and comment on how you feel. So, an issue that we're going to talk about has been weighing heavily on my mind, and it's this issue of women being hard to work with. Now, the problem that I have with this issue is that it just never felt true for me. This whole idea that women are hard to work with, I think actually stems from the fact that people expect women to be hard to work with. Now, obviously I have the necessary anatomy for this statement to apply to me, but as I said, it doesn't feel true. And as someone who has worked with women, I've noticed that it's not necessarily because it's women that you have difficulty. Every time that you work in any organization, any committee, any business, one of the biggest problems is with communication. And working with women makes that no exception. And I find that because people expect women to be difficult to work with, women are almost not allowed to make mistakes. So you're on a committee, there's some miscommunication, there's some misunderstanding. Instead of, pointing out to people and saying, hey, you didn't communicate that properly, this is how you can do better, or taking some other form of action such as firing them or giving them some sort of training course. I find with women a lot of people go, oh, well, yeah, but women are hard to work with. They always gossip behind their backs, they never blah 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 and complain. I feel that if I was a man, I wouldn't have that same reaction. If for whatever reason I made a mistake or communication was lost, I feel like in an organization I would be taken aside and said, you did X, Y, and Z wrong and this is how to fix it. But with women, we're not encouraged to do better. And this starts from a very young age where women are almost advised not to be too bossy, not to be too vocal about their own opinions. I remember as a little girl hearing girls are meant to be seen and not heard. You're meant to look pretty but not express yourself. And the consequence of that is that you have women who don't know how to express themselves, and they're put in an environment where they're not encouraged to do so. So whenever I have been in a feedback situation outside of my medical career, if it was a guy who was interacting with me, I almost got this vibe as if they didn't want to break me with their words, or they had to be very delicate and everything was very sideways and indirect. They never said, you messed up here, this is how to do it, don't let it happen again. Obviously in my medical career that is commonplace, it doesn't matter male or female, that's the job because people's lives are at risk. But in any other professional setting, it's almost been as if, with girls you have to be different, you have to be delicate with them because they're very sensitive. And I think that that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. With women and girls that you're working with, they have to be encouraged to express themselves directly. If they're having an issue at work or an issue with a colleague, there are procedures that they have to take to go through how to correct that or how to work the best for the company given that situation. I think with women what happens is they're so used to this indirect sideways way of communication and not being encouraged to communicate directly that that's the way that they communicate with the world. So for example, you have a group of women, one of them doesn't like the other. Instead of going to the human resources or going to their boss or team leader or whatever, they sort of bicker amongst themselves and then halfway work together. And the consequence of that is that the company suffers, the team suffers, and they end up with an subpar product. Now, the response to that is normally, women working together, it's always asking for trouble. It's never, women do better. Women communicate. Why are you being indirect? Tell me exactly what you want. And that's one of the things I find most frustrating. Because I'm someone who's quite direct, as I'm sure my friends will testify. Whenever I want something, I will express, I'm not saying to be rude, but I will express myself clearly. I will say, this is my desired outcome. This is what I would like to happen. If there's anything I don't understand, I clarify. If there's anything I'm unhappy with. For example, I was in a situation where I wasn't happy with the way the person was communicating with me, I would tell them, just because I'm a woman doesn't mean that you have to talk to me in this very demure, quiet voice. You can just talk to me like a normal person. You can tell me what you think, I don't have to be protected from your opinion. And vice versa, people interacting with me should feel free to tell me, hey, I didn't really like the way that you did this. This is how I think you should do better. Like, women should be given more experiences that they can learn from and grow from, the same as men. Words are very powerful things, but they should be encouraged as a tool for women, not just danced around. I can count on my hand the number of situations where, I've been in a situation where people have been direct with me in that way. And there's one episode in particular that I can remember because it was another woman talking to me about the way that I handle a situation. She was very unhappy with it, and she was very direct. Now, yes, of course I was upset because I wanted, the best product for the event that I was organizing. But at the same time, I knew exactly where she stood, and I knew exactly what I could and couldn't do. I knew where my boundaries were. And I feel like we need to have more of that. So, and one of the books that I highly recommend is a book called Drop the Pink Elephant. It's all about effective communication and thinking effectively about the words you're using, the language you're using, your body language, and how best to get that out of people. Now, the only way that I know about that book was because I got an opportunity to attend a leadership event where that book was presented to me. I think we need to have more opportunities where women are, instead of being told, oh, well, women are hard to work with, are told, actually, you can do better. Try and read this book, try and learn something. So my challenge with this video is to encourage women to, ask for what you want, be clear. If you're not sure about something, try and get it clarified, make sure that you're all on the same page, because assumptions just lead to failure, as we all know, I'm sure. And to people who are communicating or working with women and girls, try to encourage them to do better. Don't just put your hands up and go, oh, well, working with women is difficult. Say, listen, I know that you're a woman and there are all these stereotypes, but you need to do better. And that's my closing message. Women, do better. Thank you.